message is simple, but powerful. Bravery isn't something you wait for, it's something you choose. Please join me in welcoming Carol Schulte.
Woo! Come on, CNC Music Factory, come on. All right, thank you. So that has been my pump-up song for decades. My sister and I have a full-on carpool karaoke song, and it always gets me pumped up. And I am pretty pumped up right now, and I hope you are too. And I'm pumped up because today is the first day of the rest of your life. I know, kind of cheesy, you can laugh. But that was the actual opening line of the very first episode of my very own reality TV show. There I stood, center stage. The lights were blinding, the cameras were rolling, and in that moment, I realized this was it. I'd made it. The moment I'd been waiting for, the moment I finally felt enough. See, I had this pretty fancy in-house consulting gig on beautiful Vancouver Island. I was being flown around in corporate jets. They put me up on this swanky oceanfront apartment. I was running the trails, jumping in the ocean every morning. Finally met the man I was going to marry. But to top it all off, I was going to be starring in my own reality TV show. Now, as someone who studied theater, while it wasn't quite as cool as the Rockettes' kick line, it was still pretty darn cool. But the next thing I knew, I'm being handcuffed, put in the back of a police car, and driven far, far away from that dream. And in that instant, I got a taste for what brave really looks like. But we can't start there. It's too soon. We gotta go back. In order to understand how I learned to get my brave on, we've gotta go to another moment. I wanna share with you what I learned so that you too can learn how to get your brave on. Because in some of the conversations that I've had in preparing for today, what you face each and every day in your roles is going to require you to find your brave. Burnout, staff shortages, huge expectations, family wanting everything to be perfect during some of the hardest times in their lives. You are the last responders. And with that comes a huge amount of responsibility, also a huge amount of respect. But it is going to require you to get your brave on. The emotional toll, I can only imagine. So before we dive in, we're going to go to another moment. We're going to go to a moment involving hundreds of people, a pool party, and a dare. Let's go to Greece. All right, it was the summer of 2000. I had just finished this intense semester studying Shakespeare at Oxford University in a college that very much resembled Hogwarts, I kid you not. And I was going to be partying with my high school friends, backpacking all through Europe, and I was ready. So we're at this massive pool party on the island of Naxos, Greece. Picture this. The Euro beats are pumping. Watermelon juice is dripping from our chins. The sun is bouncing off those inflatable flamencos. And my girlfriend comes up to me and she says, "Will you come with me to ask the guy who's running the bungee jump if he'll give us a discount if we go topless?" Only my friend Nikki would ask that. So I say, "Okay, I'll go with you." So we go up to the gentleman and he looks at us and he says, "Listen, if I give a discount to every woman who's ever asked me that, I'd be out of business. But if you go fully naked, well, that's another story." So I start laughing, and she gets dead serious in the face. And she says, "I wouldn't, but you would. I dare you." And all of a sudden, my heart starts pounding, and I realize, oh my gosh, this is going to happen. I've never said no to a dare before, after all. But before I had a minute to, have a drink, get a little bit of Dutch courage, the next thing I know, my ankles are being tied together, my chest harness is being put on, and I'm slowly lifted up this crane under the world's tiniest little towel they reluctantly gave me for the way up. Now, that crowd, while it was getting further and further away, it somehow seemed to be getting bigger and bigger because I think they caught wind that there was about to be a crazy Canadian about bungee jumping in her birthday suit. That ride was all too long and yet all too short at the same time. And by the time we got to the top, I had this moment of realization. I am never going to be in this moment, ever again. so I may as well milk it for all it's worth. So we had Joe, the crane operator. He was tall, charming, dark-skinned, of course. And I looked over at Joe and I said, "Hi, I'm gonna need a little bit of a countdown. 3, 2, 1, and I whip off my towel and I give a little shimmy and I jump." And at that moment, I don't know what I'm more scared of. The fact that I am bungee jumping or the fact that I am naked in front of hundreds of strangers. Now, I don't know if you've ever bungee jumped in your birthday suit before. If you have, well, you and I need to become friends after this, maybe go for a coffee. But was that brave or just plain crazy? I don't know, maybe a little of both. But if I'm honest with you, in that moment, I wasn't trying to be brave. I was trying to be cool. I was trying to look good. I was trying to prove something, to be someone. And maybe you can relate to a moment where you didn't quite feel good enough. Maybe for you, that's staying quiet when you wanted to speak up, saying yes when you wanted to say no, not sticking to that boundary of shutting down your phone at 5 o'clock. Maybe it's hiding so that you don't avoid or you avoid ruffling anybody else's feathers. Now, especially in an industry that historically has been male-dominated, maybe you've learned to play it safe, to keep the peace, to stay quiet so that you don't make anybody else uncomfortable. But here's the thing. Female, women leaders in this profession, we're changing the face. So the representation has more than doubled in the last few decades. If you look at education programs and funeral services, women make up 70 to 80% of those programs. And yet leadership hasn't quite caught up yet. Still, the majority of upper-level leadership and owners are held by men. However, this is changing. The future leadership in this profession lies in this room. And so that is going to require you to get a little bit brave. Are you ready? Well, okay, we're gonna have to do a little bit of work there. All right, so every living organism at their core, every living organism is wired to grow as big as they can and live as long as they can, from the tiniest piece of bacteria to the largest blue whale. So why is it that so many of us often play smaller than we know we can, where we shrink or we doubt ourselves? We know that we're capable of more, and yet sometimes we hold ourselves back. We're afraid. But I've learned that being brave isn't about not having fear. It's about your willingness to do something anyway. We define brave as your willingness, your choice to get into action before you feel ready because you've decided to feel ready enough. That's what it means to be brave, and that's what we're going to explore together. Let's try that again. Are you ready to get your brave on? Okay. All right, so unfortunately, we so often play in not our comfort zones, in what I call the safe zone. And there are 3 patterns of behaviors that exist in the safe zone, and we are going to demonstrate them together. I'm going to need a volunteer. Who would like to be brave enough to come onto the stage? Yes, first hand that I saw. And your name?
Sarah.
Sarah, round of applause for Sarah. Carol, nice to meet you. Sarah, you're going to stand right here. Okay. And your job is just not to move. Okay? Don't move. Got it? All right. So the first pattern of behavior is called hibernation. This is where we hide. We're nice and cozy in our dens. We're getting ready for, spring maybe to come one day, but really we just stay in hibernation. Don't move, Sarah. Don't move. So in hibernation, we avoid doing anything wrong. We avoid failure. We're scared, but we're also not really actually playing the game of life. So when we're in hibernation, we're holding back our ideas. We're not asking for that new position. We're not trying new things, taking on new opportunities or responsibilities. We're just hiding. Don't move, Sarah. Don't move. In hibernation, we stay small. And yes, we are making sure that we are protecting ourselves from failure. That's what happens in hibernation. We protect ourselves from failure, but you know what else we do? We also are protecting ourselves from growth. How are you feeling over there, Sarah? Yeah? Good. Getting antsy yet? No? Okay. So Sarah's in hibernation mode, right? She's just living her life, being cool, being comfortable, being chill. But maybe she's getting a little bit restless. Are you getting a little bit restless?
I meditate all the time.
She meditates all the time. She's not restless. So Sarah's going to move into procrastination. Procrastination, where she may have some ideas to do something. She might think about an idea to share, but she's waiting. Spending a lot of time in what Cody had set up, the waiting place, or what Dr. Seuss likes to call, or the waiting room, what Dr. Seuss likes to call the waiting place. For people just waiting. Waiting for a plane to go, or a bus to come, or a train to go, or the phone to ring, or the snow to snow, or the mail to come, or the rain to go, or waiting around for a yes or a no, or waiting for their hair to grow. Everyone is just waiting. Did you know that the average person over the span of their lifetime will spend 693 hours waiting for planes, trains, other forms of transit? The equivalent of almost 22 weeks in line, be that at bank tellers, grocery stores, amusement parks, and almost 6 months on hold for our favorite customer service representatives. That's a lot of elevator music. Now, that type of waiting is largely out of our control. Yes, with technical advancements, we can maybe mitigate some of that waiting, but for a large part, we gotta deal with it. But there is another type of waiting, and in my opinion, far more dangerous and far more detrimental, that is very much in our control. And this is the type of waiting that we do when we're waiting to feel good enough, waiting to feel ready, waiting for all of our ducks to be in a row, waiting for our inboxes to be at 0, waiting for that perfect moment to magically arrive. Well, I have news for you. Your inboxes will never be at 0, and if they are, please teach me your ways. And that perfect moment is never going to magically arrive. It's when you choose it. Don't move, Sarah. Don't move. We good? So we wait. Now, procrastination does play a role, right? It does protect us. It protects us from getting uncomfortable. It protects us from discomfort, but you know what else it protects us from? It protects us from progress. It protects us from taking that first next step, from trying something new, from getting somewhere that maybe we didn't know existed. Don't move. Now, when we are finally getting a little bit antsy and we're maybe ready to take that first step, are you getting ready to maybe take that first step? Yeah. Then, do you know what happens? We get into a place called stagnation. We go into this pattern called stagnation because we want to take the first move. We're getting sick of being sick and tired of waiting and not doing anything, and yet we stay busy. We stay distracted. We stay in circles. We tell ourselves, oh, it's not perfect. I can't put it out there. Oh, what are they going to think? Oh, I got to say yes to keep the peace. Maybe it's not my time yet. So we stay. We stay stuck. How's it feeling over there, Sarah?
Like I need to do another load of laundry.
Okay, great. We're distracted. There's all sorts of things competing for our time and attention, and we can justify so well not being ready, not having the time, not knowing what to do to take that first next step. And stagnation maybe also plays a role. Stagnation does protect us from judgment, but it also protects us from our potential. And again, you are not here to play small. You are here for more. You are to take on more, here to try new things, to speak up, to be bolder. So we don't have time to stay in a place of hibernation or procrastination or stagnation. Sarah, how are you feeling?
Warm.
You can't move,
I know.
but you might want to move. All right, let's give a round of applause to Sarah. Thank you, thank you, thank you. Sarah, are you ready to get out of hibernation?
Yes.
Are you ready to get out of procrastination? Are you ready to get out of stagnation? Thank you for visually sharing with us. When you can't move and you stay stuck, it is really frustrating because you know that there's more over on this side. There's more that you want to do. And once we name where we're at, then we can tame where we're at. It's not about making yourself feel wrong. It's about noticing, identifying, and then figuring out ways how to push through. Now, sometimes we're in all three of them simultaneously. Sometimes we overlap. Sometimes we jump over here and then come back. It's not necessarily a linear line, just like grief, right? The 5 stages of grief, we never go through them linearly. But it is about calling yourself out when you're stuck in a place that is no longer serving you and choosing to do something different. We spend a lot of time in this industry, from the conversations that I've had, trying to prove yourself, trying to prove that you are good enough, trying to prove you have it all together, trying to prove you can do it all day, all night, 7 days a week, some of you. You don't need any more gold stars. You don't need to prove that you deserve to be in this room because you already are. So I give you a giant, big gold star. We have to stop waiting for other people to tell us we're enough and start figuring out how we can give ourselves our own internal barometer for success. Tell ourselves we are good enough. In this industry, I've heard a lot of you think that you need to be polished all of the time. You need to be perfect all of the time. You want to not necessarily just prove yourself, but get approval from everyone all the time. And it is exhausting. When we try and be perfect all of the time, we're holding ourselves up to these unrelenting standards that we're never going to meet, and yet it doesn't stop us from trying. Unfortunately, perfectionism, it prevents creativity and innovation. It holds us back. We're not sharing those brilliant ideas that may be implemented that could potentially make a huge difference. Beyond perfectionism, we spend a lot of time pleasing as women. Who here can relate to people pleasing? All of the hands up in this room. So I have some amazing neighbors, and they caught wind that I was on the market for a new piece of fancy coffee maker machinery. And so one day I came home, and it turns out they were getting rid of an old machine that they had. They were selling some things from their shop. And so I found this beautiful, bulky, gray, obnoxious box outside my door. And as soon as I got home, uninvited I might add, they come on in, they set it up, they show me how it works. They're like, isn't this cool? It has this obnoxious digital display, like not at all what I envisioned in my head of what this beautiful coffee maker was going to look like. And then finally, after a cup of coffee, they go, and as they walk out the door, say, $300, but no rush. Now, not only did I not want this coffee maker, I did not want to pay $300 for it, but the thought of telling my neighbors no was so intolerable that I let that thing taking up most of my counter space sit for almost 3 weeks. Now, luckily, I have a good therapist, and we worked through it, and I realized that it was going to be uncomfortable, and I could tell them that it wasn't something that I wanted at this time. Thank you so much. But I did offer to sell it on their behalf on Facebook Marketplace because, you know, baby steps. But when we are constantly putting other people before ourselves, when we are constantly looking after everyone else, every time you say yes to something or someone, there's something or someone that you're also saying no to. And more often than not, that person is you. It's not about perfecting, it's not about proving, it's not about pleasing, it's about choosing to bring all of who you are to all of what you do, and to know that it's always already more than enough. There's an ancient theory called teleology. It was practiced by Plato and Aristotle thousands of years ago. And it says that each and every one of us has a telos, has a mission, a goal, a vision, a gift, something that only you are here to do. The problem is when we don't think that we're enough, when we're trying to perfect or prove, or we're looking around us comparing to what everybody else is doing, our ability to see said telos, our ability to walk towards what our mission, what our goal is here, is so often blurred. We're so busy distracting ourselves, not feeling ourselves. And you are here to fulfill your telos. Do you know who is fulfilling their telos here? Do you know who is playing exactly where they're supposed to be playing? These two people right here. Give it up for Kate and Darren. So in all the conversations that I had previous to this event, everyone said, we are so lucky to have Kate. We are so lucky to have Darren. They are doing exactly what they're supposed to be doing. And how lucky are we to have a Darren and a Mark who are such supporters of women in this industry. Huge, right? Makes a big difference. When you are doing what you know you're supposed to be doing, there's something beautiful that happens. There's something radiant, there's something vibrant, and other people can tell. Who here has ever had a moment where you just lose all concept of space and time because you know you are exactly where you're supposed to be? How amazing would that be if we got to do that each and every day? If we got to step into more of who we already are, and to step into our brave and our potential and to see what happens. Now, it's not always about telling ourselves that we're wrong or it's bad, that we have tried to be perfect or we did like those gold stars or whatever it was, because a lot of those patterns of behavior, those staying in hibernation or procrastination or stagnation, have served us to a certain extent. Recovering perfectionists, you probably have a high level of excellence. It's helped you succeed in your positions, in your roles, in your professions up to this date. People pleasing, it's nice to be nice. We like to be liked. Proving yourself means that you are a go-getter. You want to achieve things, and that's great. But sometimes it's about getting honest with yourself, looking at yourself in the mirror and saying, has this really served me, or is it time to let it go? Because what got you here is not going to be what gets you there. So it is about having an honest conversation with yourself and saying, maybe I do need to let that go. Maybe I do need to choose something just a little bit different. The most profound thing I ever learned in treatment is called the acceptance equation. Now, it's a simple equation. I was never very good at math, but it's not necessarily easy to implement. It goes something like this. Pain plus acceptance equals pain. The idea being that as humans, we are all going to experience pain, the loss of a loved one, the loss of a job, the loss of a boundary, or just our favorite ice cream parlor running out of our favorite ice cream flavor. We are all going to experience pain. But the problem comes when we try and push that down or fight it or jump over it or we're in denial, because pain plus non-acceptance equals suffering. So while pain is inevitable, suffering is optional. Suffering keeps you stuck. It keeps you stagnant. Acceptance sets you free. So don't make yourself wrong if you're in the process, if you're in the practice, if you notice yourself, if you can call yourself out. Just recognize, notice, get honest, and then try again. Until we accept where we are, all that we are and all that we're not going to be able to take that step forward. And it starts small. One small shift, 1 degree makes a big difference. Imagine that there is a plane flying from LA to Rome. Said flight will take about 14 hours. If the pilot of said plane flies just 1 degree off course, do you know where it will land after that 14 hours? Anyone? Bueller? Tunisia, Africa, an entirely different continent. One small shift, 1 degree, massive, massive difference. And that's all it takes. Just that first, next brave step that you choose that could make all of the difference. So, what would you do if you were even braver? What would you do if you were even braver? This is a question that we've asked hundreds of people all over the world. And some of the answers that we get most often are things like, I would speak up more. I would ask for what I know I deserve. I would set boundaries. I would have that difficult conversation. I would learn to say no more. Can any of you relate to any of these ideas? And what would your answer be? What would you do if you were even braver? And let's flip that on our head. If we are no longer willing to stay with Sarah over here in the safe zone, if playing safe was no longer an option, what would you do? And when are you going to start? Because it is time to get your brave on. We are going to demonstrate what it looks like to get out of our safe zone and into our brave zone. Who is excited? I think there might still be some coffee at the back if we need a little top up. So we're going to talk about our brave zone using a banana. All right, hear me out here. So I actually think that a banana is the bravest fruit of all. Want to know why? Well, because it's bold. It's bold in color. It's bold in shape, right? It's also pretty darn resilient. I mean, it can put up with bruises like nobody's business. It's also pretty authentic. You know, it is who it is. It owns it. It doesn't hide. It's not afraid to be the way that it is, even though it is sometimes subjected to quite a bit of mockery. It's also vulnerable. Do you know any other fruit who is willing to be stripped down to its barest of parts by anyone at any time? No. And then it's empowered because it cheers on the entire bunch all of the time. Banana, brave. So if a banana can be brave, then so can you. So let's look at what it actually means to be brave. Bold. How can you be more bold in your roles, in your places of work, in your life? Being bold doesn't mean that you have to have all the answers. It just means that you're willing to ask, you're willing to try. Bold leaders engage in uncomfortable conversations, even when they're uncomfortable, especially when they're uncomfortable. They go for the ask. They try new things. They share ideas. They raise their hand for new initiatives, even if they have no idea what they are doing. Bold leaders take action before they feel ready because they are deciding to feel ready enough. And they engage in something called brave conversations. So, who here has a difficult or an uncomfortable or a challenging conversation that they need to have? No one? Oh, come on, be honest. Often, there is something nagging at us, someone that we could maybe have a conversation with, whether or not that's somebody in our life or somebody at work. We might need to set a boundary. We might learn how to say no. We might have to say, I'm going to shut off my phone for at least half an hour during my lunch break or at night. Whatever it is, chances are we need to perhaps, and if not today, at some point engage in a difficult, challenging, uncomfortable conversation. But the problem lies in the fact that we call it difficult, challenging, uncomfortable. Because as long as we call it that, that's what it's going to be. So there are 5 steps that we can take to engage in a brave conversation. I'm not going to go through all 5 steps today, but number 1, I'm still holding this banana, but number 1 is to reframe the idea of having an uncomfortable, difficult, challenging conversation to a brave one. Just that reframe already changes how you actually approach that conversation because we all want to be braver, and brave can be taught. So just that first quick reframe makes a difference. There are 5 steps to engaging in brave conversations, and all of you are going to get this resource at the end if you are interested in learning about how to have brave conversations. So with respect to bold, where are you being called to speak up? Where are you being called to step up? What would that look like for you? So this was after I shaved my head in honor of breast cancer. I lost my mom 21 years ago. My sisters were a little bit embarrassed, especially because one of them was about to get married and she did not think I was going to look good in the photos. But somewhere in your life, you know that you're called to be bolder. What would that look like for you? The next idea is resilience. We've already talked about resilience. In an industry where you were dealing with huge amounts of emotion, huge amounts of expectation, polish, perfection all the time, things are not always going to go right. And so it is about staying calm amidst the chaos, staying cool amidst the storm. Not always easy. Not always easy, but how can you be more resilient, and what do you need to do to take care of you before you show up and take care of everybody else? Sometimes that might mean going to your favorite stall and having a good cry. Sometimes that means going out to your car and just breathing or meditating for a minute. Sometimes that might mean turning off your phone and going for a walk around the block during your lunch hour. When you know what coping strategies work for you, when you know how you can take care of yourself, you're going to show up so much more powerful for everyone you work with and yourself. There's a term called unflappable. Has anyone heard the term unflappable? When your feathers aren't going to get ruffled, right? When you're prepared to just stay calm amidst the storm, even if you have to fake it until you make it. Where in your life can you remain unflappable? This is my little foster puppy, Lyndon. Unfortunately, he's grown since then, and he ruined a whole lot of my shoes and really taught me what it means to be unflappable. And life is going to still continue to throw opportunities your way for you to practice that. So it's up to you to think about how you want to respond, where you can be unflappable. And then authenticity. In a profession that often wants you to be polished and perfect and show up in a certain way all the time, there's this tension, this push-pull between being what's expected and also being you. We had some great conversations at our table about this idea that women tend to be more emotional, and is that bad or is that wrong? Or does it make us more human? And when we can step into who we are, people are going to want to be around us. They're going to want to work with us because they get a sense of who we are. Authenticity breeds trust. It builds collaboration, cooperation. People want to be around people who are just comfortable being themselves. There's a woman by the name of Sark, Susan Ariel Rainbow Kennedy. She took some creative license and added a few names in there. And she was an incredible artist, but some of her things were really out there. She had splatters of paint and colors and things that had not been done before. And in an interview, she was asked, do you ever get those voices in your head that say, oh, who's gonna like that? Or what are people going to say? Or, maybe you shouldn't put that stuff out there. And she answered by using this analogy. Imagine that you're being invited to a dinner party and you are so excited for said dinner party because the hosts always throw a great spread. So you arrive, and just as the door opens, you start sniffing these deliciously baking brownies. But not like any brownies that you smelt before, and no, not those kind of brownies. Something mysterious about these brownies, and you are so excited to try them. So the first course comes out, and as expected, it is delicious. And then the main course arrives, and it is scrumptious. And then comes time for dessert. And all of a sudden, you're served pie. Pie? What do you mean? What is going on? When are we going to get to try those brownies? And you start making eye contact with the other people around the table because you know they're thinking the same thing. And so finally you get your brave on and you go into the kitchen and you offer to help with the dishes so that you can really just ask the question, when are we going to get to try those brownies? And the host looks at you and he says, oh yeah, sorry, brownies, new recipe, not good enough, not ready, sorry, no one's going to try those brownies tonight. When you are being stingy with your gifts, it's like you're being stingy with your brownies. And the world wants whatever it is that you have to offer. Everyone here has something unique, whether or not it's a listening ear, whether or not it's innovative ideas, whether or not it's this uncanny ability to find hilarious cat memes on the internet that when you share it with the people you work with, you make everybody laugh. What are your unique gifts and talents? And are you sharing them with the world? Or are you being stingy with your brownies? Where can you bring more you to what it is that you do? Because when people get to know who you are, they want to know more. And you give them permission to show who they are as well. And if everybody were playing in our gifts all of the time, can you imagine what this place would look like? So this is my family. This is on a trip for my dad's 80th birthday. I'm having a bit of fun, but that's my family. And then being vulnerable. Being vulnerable to ask the questions, to say, I don't know, to say, I may have to shut down early, to not necessarily have the answers, but to try new things anyway, to throw spaghetti at the wall and to see what sticks and what doesn't, to allow yourself to be seen just a little bit more. Are you being seen? And are you seeing others? We talked about the fact that sometimes you need to take care of the people that you work with and ask them, notice them, get curious. Are they behaving in a way they always do, or is something maybe off? And then you also need to be honest about what's going on with you if you maybe need some time, if you're going through something difficult or challenging. You don't need more perfect, you need more human, and it starts with you. And then finally, empowered. And this may be my favorite of all, because secretly when I was young, all I wanted to do was be a cheerleader. I love that you have your pom-poms there. But empowered leaders empower other leaders. When you cheer on the fellow people that you work with, we all win. International Women's Day, our theme is give to gain. When we lift each other up, when we cheer each other on, when we champion and support one another, we all rise. Hazel said it, a rising tide lifts all ships, right? How can we empower the people we work with? Empowered leaders help them with advancement, ask them what they see in their future, offer a lending hand. We're all in this together. And if you're not having somebody ask you those questions, can you be empowered enough to put your name forward, to say that you have more exciting potential, to ask them what you can do to maybe get to the next level? So it is about empowering the people around you, and it's also about empowering yourself. We have to be able to cheer ourselves on. So how or who might you empower this week? What would that look like? Who needs a bit of an extra cheer, an extra bit of a pom-pom, rah-rah, sis-boom-ba? So I have a story that I'm going to share about a woman named Caitlin. So earlier, when I was talking about the definition of brave, I shared a photo of a group of brave souls that I took to climb up Kilimanjaro, co-facilitated. I was not the Sherpa up there. And we all trained, we watched the videos, We coached for months, and yet by the time we got up to that mountain, we had no idea what we were doing. Because whenever you do something new, something difficult, something different, you're not gonna know what you're doing. So the only thing you could do is take that first step. And when we were on the mountain, that's all we could do, one step at a time. But sometimes things seem so daunting, and it's not just about taking that first step. It's thinking we either do it all, we're all in, or we're failing altogether. So in 2017, I spent a remote year living in a different country every month. And in every country, I did another Women Living Big event. So I bring groups of women together. We do things to physically get our brave on, so mentally we can take on other things in our life. And in Peru, we went surfing. And there was a woman who really wanted to do it, but she just didn't think she'd be able to get up on the board. So she sat on the beach and she stayed in hibernation. And then she got a little bit antsy and she was like, you know what? Maybe I could, but maybe I'll wait for them to invite me. So she got out of hibernation and she went into procrastination. Oh, how long is the lesson? Maybe I could just have some fun paddling on the board later on. Or maybe if they say, you know, we can go to a different place where there's smaller waves, I can go. And then she looked at everybody having so much fun and realized that not everybody was standing up on their board. They were falling, they were splashing, they were just trying. And so she distracted herself for a little bit, and then finally she was like, you know what, I'm just gonna put my hand up and say, can I try? But instead of setting herself up for potential failure by saying, if I don't stand up and I don't surf, I'm not gonna make it, she was like, my goal is to get to my knees. She was really scared of the water. She was really scared of waves. And so she said, you know what, I'm just gonna say that maybe I'll try to get on my knees. And so finally, with about 15 minutes to go in the lesson, we got her on a board and she went out and she caught a wave and she got onto her knees. And as she was coming in, she realized, I can stand up on my knees. And she stood up on her knees and she raised her hands above her head and screamed the biggest, exciting scream I've ever heard. And it made me cry. And that was just her choosing to do one small thing, not to get it perfect, not to be afraid of failure, but to jump in, to get on that surfboard, even if it meant just being on her knees and playing in the game. So what is your surfboard? What would that be for you? What is that one thing that you really want to try? And instead of thinking it's so far out there, breaking it down into something that's feasible. One small step that you can start. So we are going to explore what it means to get into our brave zone together. And we're going to do so using the banana. Now, I used to be a camp counselor, was never a cheerleader, but camp counselor is pretty much just as cool because we got to do cheers all the time. And my favorite of all time was the banana cheer. And so we are going to learn the banana cheer together. Who's excited? All right, so there are some hidden bananas under random seats. I would like you to check under your chair right now and see whether or not you are the proud recipient of one of the bananas. And if you are, please join me on the stage. Yay! And you are? Amy. Amy, we've got Amy. Don't be shy. And Jenna. Amy, Jenna. Tracy. Amazing. Nice to meet you, Tracy. All right, 5 more brave souls. Come on, who are you? Heather, yay! And you are? Laura? Laura, Tracy, Jenna, Amy, Heather. Who else? Come on. Oh, we got another one over here. Deborah. Deborah. 2 more. Come on. If it's under your chair and you really don't want to do it, give it to somebody else at your table. All right, last call. Bueller. He's sick. My best friend said this is brother's girlfriend. Heard from this guy. Knew this kid who saw Ferris pass out of 31 flavors last night. I guess it's pretty serious. Thank you, Simone. No problem whatsoever. Okay, anybody? No other bananas? Okay, so we are going to congeal amongst ourselves for a second. You have 20 seconds to eat your chips or whatever you're doing. Think about how much fun this is going to be to watch your friends up here. Heather, Amy, Jenna, Tracy, Laura, Deborah, the banana chewer. Okay, 20 seconds. All right, are you ready? Yes. Are we ready? All right, let me get my banana. We'll have 3 on this side, Jenna on this side, so you can watch. All right, a big round of applause to these brave bananas. Ready? Bananas of the world, unite. Peel bananas, peel bananas, sing, peel bananas, peel bananas, slice bananas, slice bananas, slice bananas, slice bananas, smush bananas, smush bananas, smush bananas, smush bananas, eat bananas, eat bananas, eat bananas, eat bananas, go bananas, go bananas, go bananas, go bananas. Woo! All right, they did pretty well, right? I think it would be even more fun if we do it one more time. All of you will join. However, these fine folks up here need a little bit more action. Can you just choose one of these, please? There's lots of colors. Choose what you want. You can have green, pink, blue. Get in there.
Oh, sorry.
Which color?
Thank you. Oh, I want a green.
Yes, you do. All right, and I'll take the pink. All right, we're going to do that one more time, and you are going to join us. You take your purple pom-poms, okay? We're going to do this all together. Are we ready? Okay, on the count of 3. Everybody stand up. Now do this like you mean it. Do this like your life depended on it. Do this to get your brave on. Here we go. Bananas of the world, unite. Peel bananas, peel bananas, peel bananas, peel bananas, slice bananas, slice bananas, slice bananas, slice bananas, smush bananas, smush bananas, smush bananas, smush bananas, eat bananas, eat bananas, eat bananas, eat bananas. Ready, go! Bananas, go bananas, go bananas, go bananas. Woo! Thank you so much. Way to go, Heather, Amy, Jenna, Tracy, Laura, and Deborah. Woo! Round of applause. Thank you so much. Thank you. Those pom-poms are for you. That's your gift. That's your gift. You get to take that home with you. Or give it to your daughter, friend, cousin. So who of you who are up on the stage, who found that just a little bit uncomfortable? Heather, thank you. Thank you for playing. I love it. But here's the thing. Comfort and growth cannot coexist. And if you want to get your brave on, get out of your safe zone, you're going to have to be willing to get just a little bit uncomfortable. Sometimes brave isn't about doing the big things. Sometimes being brave is just realizing that some moments are going to call you to step up. Some moments you're just going to have to face. Some moments you might not necessarily want, you might not invite, you might not be ready for, but brave is just showing up anyhow to those moments in life. Like that moment, where were we? Oh, right, center stage. The lights were blinding, the cameras were rolling, and there I stood, completely convinced this was it. The moment I'd been waiting for. The moment I finally felt enough. But as it turns out, on September 18th, 2020, I wasn't starring in the first episode of my very own reality TV show. I was starring in the very first episode of something called Mania. And I was being handcuffed, put in the back of a police car, and driven straight to the psych ward, where I was tranquilized, admitted, and for the next 7 days sported scrubs, wasn't allowed outside, saw mice rolling around on the ground, and was threatened with a flashlight in my eye to be put in the white room if I didn't fall asleep. Spoiler alert, when you are manic, sleep is not an option. For the next 2 years, I saw the inside of 5 different hospitals and treatment centers. When I was high, I spent thousands of dollars on things I didn't need, furniture I would never use, baby clothes for a baby I didn't have. And when I was low, I started writing goodbye letters to my friends and my family. Turns out that whole reality TV show, that meeting the man of my dreams, none of it was real. Now, what I learned in that time is that you can't control what happens to you, but you can control how you respond to it. I don't share this as a woe is me story, although I've certainly had my fair share of pity parties, Haagen-Dazs, helium balloons, ugly cries and all. But I share this with you because even if you've never been handcuffed or put in a black police car, and again, if you have, let's become best friends, but I know that you've had your fair share of trials, of tribulations, of struggles, of challenges. I know that because there isn't a single person who hasn't. No one is immune. No one gets a hall pass. It's how you deal with it. Life can be messy, but it's in that glorious mess that your brave is born. And our stories aren't over. You're still here, and so am I. So I was yelling that at full volume, not with poise and pride, but that's what I was yelling as I was being handcuffed, taken away. It is never too late, and you are never too old. Julia Child wrote her first cookbook at age 49, and she had her own TV show at age 51. Vera Wang was a failed Olympic figure skater and decided to do something different, and at 40 started her very own bridal fashion business. Toni Morrison won the Nobel Prize in Literature at age 62. Mary Kay Cosmetics started at 45, Ariana Huffington started at 55, and then there's dear old Jeannie Clement. Jeannie Clement is the largest, oldest person to have ever been verified to have lived until she was 122. And she rode her bike until she was 100. You are never too old, and it is never too late. So I may never have been starring in my own reality TV show, but I am the main character in my own life. And so are you. So what do you want to change? What are you going to start? What are you going to do differently? I want to hear from you, your thoughts, your ideas, and stay in communication. If you fill out this 2-minute survey, I will be able to give you the free resources on the 5 steps to brave conversations and also give you 25 brave questions. We spoke about brave circles that you can maybe have with the people you work with the people in your lives. And if you ask these questions, if you get into these conversations, then we create safe spaces where people can bring all of who they are to all of what they do. And slowly we can figure out what our brave looks like, how we can start to get into that next step, and how we can cheer each other on. Because when you give to gain, we rise together. Okay, we're gonna have to practice that. When you give and when I give to gain, we all rise together. So as you're doing that, I also want to share that I talked about my story. And when I was down, and I mean really down, I thought that there must be a tool that can help me out. And one of the things that I've always done is journaled. Anyone here journal? Yeah? So I journal a lot. In fact, I have 8 journals going on right now. Yeah, it's true. And you know what, I'm gonna just go off script for a second. Hazel, there's a journal, I think to the left of you, it's called Create. So I found this just recently when I was talking about journals. And I'm gonna share with you, I wanted to reflect on the time with my mom because when I was at our funeral parlor, it was one of the hardest moments of my life. And the space that you held for me was profound. So thank you for the work that you're doing. It's important, it matters. And then I found this, December 1st, 2004. Oh, just kidding, hold on. June 4th, 2004, Mom's last day of chemo, yay. Thanks, Mom. This book was given as a gift just yesterday. With everything she's going through, still she thinks of me. And to quote the wise, everyone is you. There's quotes on every day. And sometimes I just randomly fit to a page, like right now, today is the day unknown. I hope so. Cheers and thanks. My next entry, December 1st, 2004. 3 days shy of 6 months ago since this was given to me and I began. I suppose I wanted to make it a book of ideas versus a journal, seeing as I have one of every one of those already, a travel journal, an acting journal, a dream journal. It becomes so complicated that often I want to write, but by the time I figure out what category, I never make it to the stage of actually putting pen to paper. And now I type a journal on my computer just in case I might contribute to a book one day. All the ideas I have or had at some point brewing up inside of me, and yet I'm my own biggest obstacle. So much I want to do, and yet I'm waiting. I'm waiting for the perfect moment, the perfect situation. But guess what? It doesn't exist. It doesn't get much more perfect than this, folks. This is it. No point waiting for my life to start. It already has. So what am I going to do about it? I talk about this not because I have it all figured out, but because I am constantly in the practice of it. I've been waiting for years and years to do the thing, and there are still things that I'm waiting to do. And I know that there are things that each of you are waiting to do as well. But if anybody knows, you are in an industry where we realize that there isn't a whole lot of time. We don't know if tomorrow is promised, as cliche as it sounds. And so what can we start doing today to change that? Now, you are all being gifted a journal thanks to OACFP. I wrote my story and I wrote the 5 tools that saved my life, literally. And I published it. And the 5 tools are shared in this journal. And these are tools like connection, movement, mindfulness, gratitude, and yes, journaling. So courtesy of OACFP, you're all going to get a copy of my journal as you leave today. I've signed some of them. If you want me to personally sign them all, please find me after. I'll be sticking around. It takes you on a 3-month journey from awareness, acceptance, and into action. And we share our wins and we celebrate our progress each and every day. Now I know we're coming towards the end of our time together. I used to be all about bucket lists. Without sounding morbid, you would get it. A bucket list gives you this idea that you have time. It's everything you want to do before you die. But a brave list is everything you want to do to help you feel alive. So I started writing brave lists instead of bucket lists. I wrote my first one 6 years ago, and I had things like get caught up on my taxes, create an online profile, freeze my eggs. And guess what happened? By the end of the year, I had done over 90% of those things. Because once you name your brave, your brain starts figuring out how to do it. At your tables, you have a card. I want you to flip over that card. How many minutes do we have?
We have got 2.
Amazing. Okay, so because we've now learned what it means to be brave, that question, what would you do if you were even braver? What would you do if playing safe was no longer an option, turns into a statement. Because I am brave, I will. You have 1 minute to think about that one thing that you are going to do. I want you to choose a small action. I want you to choose something that will take you 5 minutes or less that you can do in the next 24 to 48 hours to start the momentum going. So if you want to have a brave conversation with someone, maybe it's schedule it or send an email. If you want to learn how to figure skate, maybe it's plan 15 minutes on my calendar to start researching rinks that might exist. If you want to go on a dream vacation, maybe get a magazine of the place that it is that you really want to go to. One step that will take you 5 minutes or less that you can do in the next 24 to 48 hours. Don't overthink it. Don't get the perfect pen or the perfect color. Just write it down now. Okay, do we have 1 or 2 brave volunteers who wants to share what it is that's on their list? 1 item. Yes, thank you. And your name?
Jennifer.
Jennifer, can you stand and say the whole statement?
Because I'm brave, I will make more time for me.
Yes, you will. Thank you, Jennifer. Woo! Something powerful happens when you actually declare it. You make a commitment. And when you say it out loud, the chances of you following through and doing so significantly increases. So, because I am brave, I will make more time for myself. Thank you, Jennifer. Who else is ready to share their commitment? Dun, dun, dun.
Be true to myself.
Yes, you will. And your name?
Pauline.
Pauline. Round of applause for Pauline. Pauline, I'm not going to let you off the hook that easily. Can you stand up, say it one more time, the whole statement, like you mean it?
I will be true to myself.
Yes, you will. All right, thank you, Pauline. One more. Yes.
Because I'm brave, I will take more chances.
Okay, so Laura, not everybody, does everyone know that that's Laura? Yep, okay, great, thank you. One more time, Laura, sorry, I was distracted.
Sorry. Because I'm brave, I will take more chances.
Yes, you will. Round of applause. All right. I encourage you to take this away with you. I encourage it to put it on your mirror, to put it on your fridge, to put it in your bag, to remind yourself, and to share it with one person today before you leave. Because we have just had a beautiful day together, and if we don't do something small, something different to make that small shift, then what's the point? So I don't know what brave means or looks like to you, but I do know it's not about bungee jumping in your birthday suit. Sometimes it's just about waking up. Sometimes about choosing to know that you are enough right here, right now, exactly as you are. I learned the bravest thing that I could be was me, and I truly believe that the bravest thing that you can do is be you, especially in a world that often expects you to do anything but. So yeah, I might never ever star in my own reality TV show, but I am the main character in my own life, and so are you. And I'm not crying because I'm sad. I have a tickle in my throat, but it also is pretty sad. So, because you are brave, because playing safe is no longer an option, what are you going to do that you're not already doing? Who are you going to be that you're not already being? And when are you going to start? Because today really is the first day of the rest of your life. Thank you so much.